My child, you have been praying for a long time. Sometimes it seems your prayers have been silenced by the troubles within your heart, and those deep longings overshadowed by the shadows of life. I know your heart well. I understand that in difficult times, you have waited for an answer. My answer did not come immediately. Not because I didn't hear you, but because I knew the time was not yet right for you to receive what you asked for. Do you know that during those long moments I was preparing a path for you to walk, a path leading you to where light would touch your heart? This waiting is not a punishment but a refining of your soul. Like a smith honing a blade until it becomes sharp. Remember, your prayers are never ignored. I'm always listening. I'm always closer than you think. It's just that sometimes you don't see, you don't understand that in the silence, I am preparing wonders you cannot imagine. Today, as you hear these words, I want you to know that the answer has arrived, not in the form you expected, but in a way that only you can recognize. When your soul is quiet enough to listen, imagine a wonderful moment when all the pieces of life, even the darkest ones, begin to fit together, creating a perfect picture you never conceived of. What you once saw as brokenness, what you felt as disappointment, today will be shimmering fragments under my light. What you prayed for, what you wrapped in every sigh, will take shape today, not in the way you thought but in a way that brings a peace you never imagined possible. In every trial you have endured, in every moment you felt abandoned, I was always present, not just to watch but to guide, to show you that miracles arrive at precisely the right time. I know you have felt confused, have questioned my absence, but I was there, always beside you, in your every breath, your every step. I see your patience, I know you have endured much. And today, I want you to know that all you have asked for will be granted. Not as a complete gift given instantly, but as the beginning of a new journey you will start with clearer eyes. In your prayers I see your repentance, not in the sense of guilt but as a yearning for change, a thirst for truth. You have absorbed a part of me into your soul, and now, those very desires will be illuminated by me. My answer is not always a clear promise or something you can grasp immediately. Sometimes the answer is the steps I lead you to take. Life's events will bring you lessons that no words can fully express. Remember that every day you live, every moment you face a challenge, you are in the process of receiving the answer you prayed for. I never leave you, no matter how you feel. The answer will come, not just in a single moment but over the course of a long journey. In your growth, I want you to trust that everything you need will be provided by me. But don't just look at the surface of things. Look deeper. There you will find the truth, where my peace will reach into every corner of your life. Today you will feel a shift within your soul, an awakening you cannot immediately explain. But I assure you, day by day, step by step, you will see more clearly that the answer is not always easy to spot but is the transformation within you. When you look back, you will realize that the very moments of waiting prepared you to receive the miracle you sought. The answer will come not as you want it but as you need it. Now, as you hear these words, let your soul expand. Let my peace permeate every cell of your being. Trust that as you continue to walk, I will lead you to answers that are not just solutions to your questions, but discoveries about yourself, about the boundless love I have for you. Let the answer come to you in my way, and then you will understand that waiting is an indispensable part of your journey. And today, as these words are spoken, you will feel a change in space and time. For I am here to grant you the clarity you have long sought. The answer, my child, does not always arrive in haste. Sometimes it comes in the silence, in the stillness of the soul. Listen, feel, and then you will realize that my answer has always been present, just waiting for you to recognize it. There have been nights you could not sleep, not because of threatening nightmares, but because your mind was heavy with unanswered questions. You looked up, the sky seemed closed off, and you wondered if the silent cry within your heart truly reached me. You couldn't see me, nor hear my voice, and you began to doubt if you were speaking into an empty void. But what you haven't seen is that precisely in those moments that seemed most silent, I was laying the foundation for an unseen movement beneath all things. If not a single drop of water falls to the earth without my knowledge, how could a sincere prayer be forgotten? There are things you thought had vanished from your heart, but I am nurturing them with more meticulous preparation than anything you could ever imagine. The answer is not always a sudden appearance, but sometimes the shattering of old patterns in your thoughts. It is the light shining upon things you never dared to face. You thought I would grant you a new path, but no, I grant you new eyes to see the old path differently. I didn't change your circumstances immediately because I was changing you. There were days you didn't pray, yet your soul still groaned in languages beyond words. In that very weariness I heard your cry. You don't need to fully articulate your suffering, for I have walked through it before you. I have tasted loneliness. I have known rejection, being forgotten, being misunderstood. I have quietly wept for humanity when they did not know what they needed. And today I weep for you, not because you are weak but because you have been strong enough to endure until this moment. And that very endurance is the hallway for the answer that is drawing near. You don't need to search for strange signs from the heavens. Look closely at the beat of your own heart, into the eyes of a person you meet by chance, at the coincidences that seem random but open new doors. All these things are how I am speaking to you. Today's answer doesn't wear the guise of splendor, but it has the form of a certainty, a steadfastness, gradually rising within you. I do not give what you want to soothe you for a moment. I give what you need to transform your life forever. Do not think you are merely walking on the earth. Every step you take is recorded by me, not with ink or stone, but with the very light of providence. You thought you were lost, but in truth, you were simply on a path the world cannot see. What you thought were delays were actually the journey of preparation. I am refining you so that you can bear the high calling you prayed for without breaking. If I answered too soon, it would crush your soul. But today the time has come. No more delays, for you have matured beyond your own expectations. The answer doesn't always bring comfort. It might confuse you. It might require you to leave behind what once felt safe. But that is when I lead you to where truth resides, where everything will become clear. Truth needs no defense. It only needs to be illuminated. And today I will open that door for you. No longer a promise in the distant future but a current flowing right here. In this hour, as your mind stirs, you used to think that to receive my response, you had to do something great, become perfect, abandon all flaws. But I never demanded that perfection. I only waited for your honesty. I'm not offended by your weakness. On the contrary, it is in that weakness that my power is made perfect. And precisely when you have nothing left to be proud of, that is when I begin to grant the answer. Because there is nothing left in you that can take the glory for itself, only space for my presence. Don't seek me in the noise. I am in the stillness. Don't run off searching for grand things. Stay and observe the small things that are changing. From there, you will see greatness gradually form. You thought what you asked for was a door opening outward. But my child, the door I am opening is within. From there, light does not shine in but radiates out from you. And when you begin to shine from within, all external doors will cry open on their own. Today is not just the day you receive the answer. Today is the day you become part of the answer for others. What you once longed for, what you silently wept for because you could not see it, now you yourself will become the one who carries it to others. You are answered not just to be filled but to overflow. And in the very act of giving, you will find yourself receiving more than you ever asked for. Don't be surprised if what I give doesn't look like your dream. Because I do not grant momentary comfort. I grant what is right for eternity. And that rightness will lead you to a life no longer bound by fear, by doubt, by old obsessions. My answer comes not to soothe but to change. Not changing the circumstances first but changing you first. Because when you change, the world around you will change accordingly. You have prayed for a long time. You have waited with all the faithfulness remaining in your soul. And today is not just another day. This is the moment I continue your story with a new chapter. A chapter where you don't have to pretend to be strong, don't have to try to understand everything, but simply walk in my presence step by step, believing that the answer is alive, breathing, acting in the smallest details of your life. And then you will realize, what I send today is not merely a response, but a starting point for the transformation of your entire destiny. You no longer have to toil to prove your loyalty, for I saw it even when you thought you were just trying to survive day by day. Those silent sighs, the times you wanted to give up but chose to keep going, the trembling steps you took in the darkness, those were the prayers I silently engraved into the process of fulfillment. You think you prayed only with words, but you prayed with your endurance, with your steadfastness even when nothing changed. And today it is not because I am moved by your tears, but because the time is ripe. It is the moment when the seeds sown in the silent ground begin to push through the earth with irresistible strength. My response comes not like a declaration, but like a rumbling thunder within the cosmos. A shift in the soul level that the naked eye cannot see. It doesn't come with noise, but it overturns every old order like a night wind uprooting what no longer belongs to you. You will feel it not with your intellect, but with a deep stirring in your sacred intuition, where only you and I exist, without intermediaries, without logic, without definitions. And there, truth will enter like a beam of light, revealing even the things you dared not face directly. Don't cling to old images of the answer. Let me shatter even your expectations. Because what I give will transcend any mold you have ever imagined. No longer what you planned, but what I have ordained beyond all limits of reason. You used to think escape would come from the outside, but you didn't see that I am bringing you to another level, where you are no longer dependent on circumstances. The change within you will compel circumstances to yield to the new will established in you by my hand. I don't touch the surface, I always work from the root. Today an invisible door will close behind you. It is the door of doubt, of the skepticism that once slowed your steps. And when it closes, another door will spring open, but without a clear shape. No signpost, no ready-made path. It only opens when you dare to step forward, and each step you take will form that path. I do not lead you by map. I lead you by presence. You will not see the destination, but you will know that every place you step is where I am with you. No more need for tangible evidence, for faith will be your new eyes. And that faith is no longer theory but life beating in every cell of your being. You thought you were forgotten when your prayers went unanswered. But in truth you were being preserved. There are things that, if granted early, would be disastrous. There are things that, if received when unprepared, would become burdens crushing the soul. But today you have crossed the threshold of impatience, moved beyond immature demands. You no longer cry out in fear but yearn with understanding. That very change has freed my hand to act. Not because I ever hesitated, but because my love always waits for the perfect timing so the gift becomes flawless. You don't need to understand everything to believe. Because true faith is born not from understanding but from relationship. And you have lived in that relationship longer than you think. You used to think silence was a sign of absence. But no, silence was my way of expanding your inner space so you could learn to hear with your soul. And now that this inner space is large enough, the answer not only reaches you but will echo eternally in your life like a hymn that never ends. From now on, you will no longer ask for things as before. Because I will teach you to pray not just out of need, but out of union with heaven's intent. You will stop asking what is good for you and start asking what is good for my kingdom within you. And when you begin to live like that, everything you ask will naturally align with what I desire to give. And that harmony will cause miracles to erupt, not just once, but continuously, like a spring gushing in a barren desert. Today is the beginning, not the end. The answer doesn't end the waiting, it transforms the waiting into purpose. And you will realize those long days that seemed futile were actually nurturing this very moment. Every moment is being rewoven, and now the sacred tapestry is gradually revealing its pattern. You will look back and see that nothing was random. No pain was meaningless, no tear wasted. Everything was pushing you toward the moment you are now touching. Where my presence is no longer something to wait for, but something you live in with every breath. You cannot fully grasp the depths I prepared to bring you to this moment. Where every whisper that once floated aimlessly in the void now echoes back like a sacred reverberation from on high. The answer comes not as a favor dropped amidst many choices, but as an unceasing flow from my very being, soaking into your soul, beating in rhythm with the heart that was once broken, that survived the storms. Today I speak to you not just with words, I speak through the phenomena moving around you, through the unexpected people entering your life, through the doors that seemed to open by chance but were actually marked by me before you existed on earth. What comes into your life from now on will no longer be coincidence but a chain linked by divine intervention. Every event will be an invitation, every challenge a threshold, and every apparent adversity a covering for a treasure you must dare to dig deep to receive. You will find yourself drawn into territories never before trod, not just external places but internal frontiers you previously avoided. You will be led into the desert of your own soul, not to suffer, but to discover the treasures buried there. Courage, peace, power. The understanding and boldness of one anointed for a mission. You are given the answer today not just to solve your personal problem, but to step into the new role I have prepared for you. You were used to living as a seeker, but now I want you to start living as one sent. No longer just asking what I will do for you but asking what I want to do through you. This very shift will birth a life no longer dependent on fluctuations but standing firm like a pillar in the storm. You used to fear repeating old cycles, days where faith surged then plummeted due to disappointment. But you will not return to the starting point again. Because when I answer, I not only give you what you asked for, but I break the old cycle that held your life captive in darkness. I do not repair what is rotten, I make new. You will no longer identify yourself by what was lost but will be redefined by what I am about to give. No longer carrying the weight of failed expectations, no longer living as someone always forcing a smile in the crowd, no longer pretending to be strong in loneliness. Because from today, you will live from a source no longer dependent on anyone or anything but me. And from that source, you will begin to understand what it means to live free. Not free from people but free from the invisible chains that have bound your soul since long ago. There are things I will give you without warning. You will find yourself led into a new space without time to prepare. Because I know if I waited for you to be ready in the way you understand readiness, you would never move. Sometimes I don't give you time to understand, only the moment to obey. Because obedience in darkness opens a path no one else can see but you. And the very person who thought themselves too small to be chosen will become the one carrying light into lands others dared not tread. The answer I give is not just to solve the immediate problem but to overturn the old view of yourself you carried for so many years. I do not bestow gifts like a distant judge, but like the Creator who sees my own image in you and is awakening it with a call that cannot be ignored. You will feel the weight of transformation. It will not be gentle. It will require you to let go of the shells that helped you survive but now hinder the abundant life I want to pour out. You will be tested not to measure your faith but to hone new capabilities. What you once thought were limitations will now become places where power explodes. Those who once doubted you will witness a wondrous restoration. And most importantly, you will realize you are no longer someone waiting for a miracle to happen, but someone walking in the miracle, with each step a new revelation. I am pulling you out of your comfort zone, not to frighten you, but to open up the promised land you only heard about but never touched. That land is not far away. It is within you, in the courage to believe again, to stand up, to open your mouth and declare what I placed in your heart before time began. Today's answer is the key to that treasure. And when you begin to act as if what you asked for has already materialized, that truth will begin to operate, not according to logic but according to power. That is when you will no longer ask, when? But will live as if it has already arrived. Because true faith doesn't wait for confirmation, it creates new reality through obedience. I have never stopped speaking to you, but today you begin to hear in a new way, not just listening with ears but receiving with sacred resonance. And therefore the answer I send today does not end the search but awakens within you a new journey where every step you take will be a silent praise, every act you perform a hymn offered without melody. From this moment on, you are no longer the seeker of life, you are the place where life is welling up. Prepare yourself because what is about to happen will no longer follow the old order you were used to. I will break the mold you built with reason, shatter the safety you clung to like a refuge. Not to punish but to awaken you. You cannot continue living in expectation without being willing to change. The answer comes not to accommodate your old pace of life but to compel you through the new door. Where every step is illuminated by guidance not from humans, not from theory, but from the deep connection between your soul and the one who called your name before the world was formed. This answer is the threshold, the tremor that will shake even memories thought buried deep. I will stir up things you once buried, not to wound you further but to heal them at the root. True healing is never comfortable. It strips bare the parts you didn't want anyone to see, even parts you yourself denied. But it is in that naked space that the power of restoration begins. Not like a new coat of paint on a cracked wall, but regeneration from within, where every damaged cell is renewed, where every layer of spiritual dust is swept away by the breath of life. And from there you will rise no longer as one who fell, but as one who passed through fire without being consumed. As one who walked through darkness yet whose eyes can still see the light. Have you ever wondered why I delayed the answer for so long? Was it because I forgot or because you weren't good enough? No. It was because I was training you in a kind of sensitivity the world cannot teach. An alertness that keeps you from being dazzled by things that glitter but are empty. An ability to discern the true voice from the false echo. Today's answer comes not just to meet a need but to give you ears anointed to discern when I am acting and when I am inviting you to partner with me. Because there are things I will not do unless you step forward. There are miracles that won't happen unless you dare to believe beyond fear. And it is the collaboration between my promise and your response that will open the way, a path no one else is invited to walk except you. You will see things that seemed random turn out to bear my signature. A passing word from a stranger, a bird taking flight, a strange silence amidst the rush of life, all converging to send the message that you are entering a special time. Not because you are more special than others, but because you are more willing than ever before. That willingness comes not from understanding but from deep yearning. And I have never ignored a soul thirsting for truth. The answer you receive today will touch the deepest levels of your soul. Where you can no longer hide, where all masks fall away, leaving only the pure call. You waited and I have come. From now on, you will see my hand in the smallest things, no longer needing to wait for thunder in a clear sky to know I am present. A gentle breeze, unexpected peace, a decision that seems simple but opens a chain of events no one foresaw, all are me whispering that I am here. My presence will come not like a storm, but like the dawn seeping through the cracks, silent but undeniable, quiet but full of power. And from that, change will no longer be a shock, but an undercurrent flowing through every aspect of life. You won't need to shout for the world to know you've been touched. The quietness in your eyes, your voice, your very presence will become clear evidence that I have been with you and that the answer you waited for has arrived. I will use you to touch others who are waiting just as you once waited. Not through preaching but through a presence-carrying conviction. Others will look at you and begin to believe that miracles are not ancient stories but a reality possible today. Right here amidst a world losing its way. They won't know why they are drawn to you. But I myself will plant that longing in their hearts. And the person who once lamented not seeing the path will now become a guiding pillar for others. Not because you are better but because you tasted the prolonged silence and still held on to faith. That quiet persistence is the fertile ground for today's promise to sprout. I'm not just rewriting your life story, I am using you to rewrite the stories of those watching you. Each step you take will be a living revelation to this world. That heaven is still at work, that whispers in the dark are not in vain, that those who hold fast to faith will never be forsaken. And so, you will no longer live for yourself. Your life becomes a mobile sanctuary where my presence dwells, where anyone who enters is touched by the sacred. No grand miracles needed, just one restored person living with the awareness that the answer has come, and living that way every day. And then, as you begin to live in the truth that the answer has come, you will see the world is no longer the same. Everything familiar will take on a strangely captivating newness. Not because it changed but because you changed. You no longer see with old eyes, no longer judge things by limited measures. You are lifted, not in position or fame but in perspective. When the inner light is kindled, all external darkness loses its power to control. Things that once terrified you will appear in their true, weak, and illusory nature. The anxiety that weighed down your heart will vanish like smoke before a sacred wind. Because once the soul connects to the eternal, the temporary loses its power to shake you. You will realize that strength lies not in controlling circumstances, but in holding fast to faith amidst them. And it is there, where no one expects it, that you will learn to walk not by calculation, but by sensitivity born from a life of deep communion. I will begin to test you differently. No longer chaotic events but doors opening that seem deceptively easy. It is inconvenience that you must learn to distinguish the good from the right. For not every open door is my leading. Some paths strewn with opportunities lead astray, while narrow hidden paths are where I wait to bestow rewards no one else can touch. Therefore what I want to give you is not just a solution but an awakening. A mind trained not to be seduced by fleeting success. A heart strong enough not to be swayed by praise or rejection. I want you to become someone darkness must reckon with. Not because you shout, but because you walk with the silence of one who knows they belong to the light. You will need to prove nothing more. The steadfastness in how you live will be the most eloquent affirmation. I will let you see how my intervention is not always spectacular but always precise. Sometimes I won't prevent you from stumbling. For it is in that fall you learn lessons impossible if everything went smoothly. There are things I let you lose, not out of carelessness, but because I want your hands empty enough to receive something greater. And there are relationships you deem destined but I will let them go. Because if they stayed, they would prevent you from seeing the true destiny I have for you. You will have to learn gratitude even for things that displease you. For they are necessary parts shaping your soul. It is not the glorious days that teach you maturity, but the dark days that force you to listen to the voice deep within, where I persistently speak to you even when you don't realize it. As you go further, you will feel something no words can fully describe. An unchanging presence amidst constant change. It's when you stand at a crossroads yet feel peace. When you have nothing in hand yet feel no lack. When others turn away yet you feel deeply loved. This is not a fleeting emotion but a soul depth where I reside, where all promises sown in you are sprouting silently but intensely. And then one day looking back, you will realize it wasn't any great change that wrought the miracle, but the small steps you persistently took, the whispers you faithfully answered, the times you chose not to doubt though reason screamed otherwise. Those quiet, steady things have woven the story that even angels bend down to see. Understand that my presence doesn't come with loud noise, but once I am there, nothing remains the same. Random conversations become purposeful, small decisions open unexpected gates. Forgotten dreams are reawakened, and even seemingly useless fragments are rearranged to form the complete picture. I waste nothing. Every tear, every sigh, every moment you waited, all are etched in eternity. And when the time comes, they return like seeds that have sprouted, blossomed, and borne fruit in the season I ordained. You will no longer doubt the reason for the waiting. Because then you will live in the awareness that everything has its time and meaning. The answer comes not just to end a journey, but to begin an entirely different life. A life not based on fear but standing firm on unshakable faith. You will begin to realize there are things I give not for you to keep, but for you to learn to give away. The answer you waited for doesn't always take the form of a private gift, but often it is a current widening, touching many other lives through you. I am not just calling you out of waiting, I am inviting you into the role of a life-bearer. When you stand in this world, carrying the light I ignited within you, you become an intersection between heaven and earth. The words you speak will no longer be mere vocabulary but the breath of the Holy Spirit operating through your lips. The actions you take will not just be kind gestures but ripples from the unseen depths touching even the hardest hearts until they soften. I am leading you not just to survive, but to become a living witness to my presence amidst a world skeptical of miracles. And in the new journey opening after the answer is given, you will experience something deeper. The redefinition of value and purpose. Things you once craved, considered signs of success, will no longer hold your heart. Because once the soul is satisfied by me, old cravings lose their allure. You will no longer chase things that impress others but will seek what makes me smile. You will understand that power comes not from having everything, but from being able to let go of everything without losing yourself. And I will teach you a different kind of victory, not noisy, not dazzling, but profound and enduring. It is the victory of a soul unbent by circumstance, a mind unrobbed by contempt, and a heart still capable of love even after being wounded. You will also enter a new kind of silence, not the silence of fear or loneliness but a silence full of power. It's where you don't need to speak to be heard, don't need to explain to be understood, because you are validated in my very heart. The answer you received is not to quell anxiety but to activate a life no longer reliant on human affirmation. I am renewing your mind so it's no longer governed by the frantic pulse of the world but beats in rhythm with my eternal will. Each thought you have becomes a seed sown into the spiritual realm, and from it, new harvests will be reaped, not only in your life but in the lives touched by you. Don't be surprised when you begin to feel a new garment upon you, not of fabric, but an invisible covering from on high. I am clothing you in a glory the world cannot understand and cannot steal. The answer you longed for came not just to rescue but to place you in your rightful position within my plan. You will no longer stand on the sidelines begging for scraps but will enter the banquet I prepared in what seemed like a battlefield. And there I will fill your cup. Not just so you are full, but so it overflows for those who sat beside you, depleted and weary as you once were. It is then you will understand that every tear shed was not in vain. Every dark night you walked through were necessary steps to reach this moment where explanations are no longer needed. Because my presence is the most complete answer. There will be times you feel like you're standing on the threshold between two worlds. One side, the past tied to pain, torment, unanswered questions. The other side, the future revealing itself, yet still vague, unclear. In that moment I will be the bridge, not a clear path for easy passage but a decisive call. Follow me. You won't see the whole picture but you will feel a deep urging within, a feeling indefinable by reason yet so powerful you cannot turn back. That is my guidance. And if you choose to follow, you will no longer depend on external light. Because within you, a fire has ignited that nothing can extinguish. That fire is the living proof of the answer you longed for. Not something external changed but you have become entirely different. And then, as you continue to walk in that response, you will realize it's not just once in a lifetime I grant an answer. Every moment you live in my presence, every heartbeat within you, if you know how to listen, carries a kind of revelation. I am not one who speaks only when you are desperate, but one who speaks ceaselessly, tirelessly through the subtle movements in your soul, through seemingly ordinary dreams, through even strange thirsts your reason cannot explain. The answer you receive today is just the beginning, the first door opening to a long series of decrees revealed layer by layer. As if I am slowly removing the veil from the sacred so you can see life through new eyes. The waiting that once made your heart tremble now becomes the training ground where faith is forged. Looking back, you will no longer see wasted time but will recognize it as the period I sowed in you the ability to discern, so that when the answer came, you were mature enough to receive it, steady enough to hold it, humble enough not to divert it. You will also realize some answers are given not to satisfy you but to break limitations set within you. I don't grant fulfillment for you to build a safe haven, but to push you forward into unexplored territories within your soul awaiting your first step. There is obedience that seems like a loss but actually opens a sacred space where you enter into communion with the mystery. I don't call you to always understand everything, but to learn to trust when explanations cease. And that very trust, when placed rightly in me, unlocks things human wisdom can never touch. You won't need to strive to hold on, won't need to force yourself to be worthy, because fulfillment comes from my faithfulness, not your perfection. And when you begin to believe that, you will be freed from the pressure of appearing righteous while lacking true inner life. You will stop playing a role and start living authentically, living with me, in me, and through me. The answer I give today is not to end the search but to begin a new kind of longing no longer just for needs but for presence. You will begin to desire not what you once asked for, but nearness to me, where you feel the rhythm of my heart. And from there, you will realize that what you once thought was the reward was actually just the covering for something far greater. Me myself am the reward. Not the decree, not the miracle, not the answer, but me. You will begin to pray not just to receive something but to be near me. You will stand in moments the world calls silent, but within your soul, sacred storms are raging. Because I am speaking, transforming, removing what need not be kept, and building up what you never knew you needed. I will place within you a life unshaken by events, a peace independent of circumstances, a steadfastness not from human grit but from the power of one who never changes. As you live in this answer, you will begin to become a sign for others still waiting. They will look at you not because you are accomplished, not because your prayers were answered, but because there is an unusual presence radiating from you, something they cannot name but they know it's not ordinary. It is me. I will use your life like a torch, not to light a stage for yourself, but to guide those weary of darkness. And you won't need to try to be anything because the life within you will naturally flow out like living water. The stream that was once dry is now filled by the spring from on high. Every word, every moment of your presence will become a sanctuary for other souls. You don't need to understand fully why I chose you, but know that none of my choices are random. Everything about you, from wounds to resurrection, is being rewoven, recreated, reshaped by me into a symphony bearing heaven's mark. Do not think today's answer is an ending. It's an opening measure for a new movement in the working of the celestial upon your life. There are things I am preparing that you lack words to even imagine. Sometimes I let you stand at crossroads where your will must choose. Not to test you like a cruel joke, but so you learn to recognize the voice from above amidst the myriad noises of the world. Today's answer comes not because I was silent all along, but because now your spirit, trained through months of waiting, is more sensitive to the movements of the sacred realm. I do not measure time by worldly clocks but by the maturity of your soul. Sometimes delay is my way of protecting you from things you aren't strong enough to bear. And sometimes I let a door close temporarily so another, far beyond expectation, can open, one you never knew existed. Today's answer might come in a form you don't immediately recognize. Because I don't always appear in thunder, fire, or storms. I often come in stillness, in things that seem ordinary but contain great power. It might be someone's gaze meeting yours in despair, a small letter bringing comfort no one knew you needed, a tiny opportunity that leads you into an unbelievable chain of wonders. I do not act as you expect me to act. Because if I did according to your will, you would only receive what is limited by your reason. But if you let me act in my way, you will receive what surpasses all imagination. I don't just answer your prayer, I expand your very boundaries. I bring you to a place where you don't just survive but thrive, live in purpose, live in revealed glory. And once the answer comes, you must courageously step into it. Because fulfillment is not for those who want safety. It demands commitment. It forces you to let go of the familiar. The comfort zones you built like protective shells. The thought systems that made you feel in control. The arrival of the true answer is a rupture. Breaking prejudices, breaking dependency, breaking even the dark corners of your mind you dared not confront. Therefore, I give you not just what you asked for, but I give you myself as the light to walk through your own darkness without being swallowed. And in every step forward, I walk with you, not as a distant king looking down, but as a silent yet powerful companion. You won't always feel me, but you will recognize my footprints in the times you overcame the seemingly insurmountable. Be cautious, because after the answer always comes a time needing vigilance. When light is given, darkness also seeks to disturb. It comes not because you are weak but because you were just given something precious. And what is precious always makes the enemy tremble. Don't be surprised if, after fulfillment, a wave of doubt washes over you, when your own mind begins to question if it was real or just an illusion. That is the moment you must hold your heart in truth. Don't let the voice of deceit steal what I have placed in your hands. Remember, what I give, no one can take unless you let go yourself. And you will be led deeper into the journey, where you live not just by fulfillment but as a testament to the power operating on earth. You are no longer the waiter. You become the carrier of the answer for souls crying out in silence. Continue to live as if you carry within you a fragment of the kingdom of heaven. Because that is precisely what I have placed in you, a part of me. And you are called not just to hold it but to distribute it. Not everyone around you will understand the change in you, but that doesn't matter. You don't live for their approval, you live to please the one who called you out of darkness. When you carry life from me, you will emit a sound only souls belonging to me recognize. They will be drawn to you. Not because you speak well or do good deeds, but because they sense me in you. That is something no one can fake. And in that very presence you will see the answer I give doesn't stop with you. It flows out, spreading far beyond limits of time or geography. Because the true answer is not just a response. It is a mission, a fire, a work from heaven ignited amidst humanity yearning for redemption. And as you begin to live as one who has received the response from the sacred realm, you will see the surrounding universe also changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier but because your inner self has shifted. Things that once frightened you now appear as mere shadows behind the new light. The stability I place in your soul will be like an anchor, holding you firm amidst unexpected storms. You will realize some things don't need full understanding to walk forward, and some turns don't need clarity to be the right path. That is where faith becomes the core of every action. Where you walk not because you see the way but because you know I am leading. The answer I grant is not the end of questions but the beginning of a different way of living. Living from the depths, living as one who knows they are sent. And that will change how you see every person you meet, every event you face, every word you utter. Everything takes on new meaning. Because now you no longer live as one searching for signs, but as one becoming the sign for others who are lost. The answer not only opens a door but also closes old corridors that once imprisoned your soul in meaningless cycles. It forces you to confront things you once ignored. Half-hearted choices, broken promises, suppressed emotions. You cannot bring old baggage into the new land. There are things you will have to release, not because they are wrong but because they no longer serve the path I lead you on. Maybe a dream you pursued to exhaustion. A relationship you clung to like a lifeline, an image of yourself you desperately maintained for fear of being forgotten. But when the true answer comes, it illuminates everything within you, both the good and what you never dared admit existed. This is not exposure to shame you, but stripping away so you can truly travel light into the promised land meant for you. Because I don't want you just to receive the answer. I want you strong enough to hold it, nurture it and make it bear fruit. I don't just open a path, I reshape your very feet to walk upon it. Because if you walk with old habits, you will lose the very newness you longed for. You will relearn how to listen, not just to external noise but to the faintest vibrations of the soul. I will teach you to recognize signs not through the extraordinary, but through simple, everyday things. An unexpected conversation, a strange dream, a feeling of unease when you're about to decide something. That is how I lead. Not flashy but certain. Not loud but full of power. And the deeper you go into this answered life, the more sensitive you will become. You will learn that silence is not emptiness but the space where the holy resonates most clearly. You won't need to prove yourself or win arguments, because you know you walk with the one who has the final answer. Then one day you will look back and see order in it all. Even though when it happened, everything seemed chaotic, incomprehensible. You will know the waiting shaped unshakable faith. The struggles that made you want to quit became the birthplace of strength. And you will pause, take a deep breath, not letting the moment rush by. Because you will realize this is not just fulfillment. This is a birth. The answer you received is not outside you. It has become part of your very being. It shapes how you think, how you love, how you serve, how you exist in the world. And you yourself then become the answer to other silent prayers rising in the deep night. Because I don't just use words to convey my will, I use the very lives of those who dare to believe. When an answer from me descends, it comes not like an echo falling into the void, but like a subterranean tremor shattering every invisible wall in your soul. You might think the response is the destination, but in truth, it's just the beginning of a rebirth you never imagined. When I decide to speak, all levels of existence are rearranged. Time no longer operates as you once measured it. A single day can hold the significance of a year, and a moment of silence can carry more revelation than 1,000 sermons. I lead you into a state where your sacred intuition awakens. You no longer live by bodily reactions but by perceptions arising from a soul saturated with grace. You no longer look at events to gauge a day's worth but look at inner obedience to measure spiritual maturity. The response is not a reward but a covenant. I don't give it for your satisfaction. I give it so you bear the sacred responsibility your soul was called to before your form was even conceived. You will notice something in my answer that few pay attention to. It often carries a hidden challenge, an invitation to step into a zone where there's no room for mediocrity. My answer doesn't allow you to continue living with two faces, two lifestyles, two conflicting inner voices. I will pull you out of the shallow waters and place you in the strong current where you cannot hold on to the bank while trying to move deeper. From now on, either you commit fully, or the answer itself will expose the compromise in your heart. The clarity you longed for doesn't just illuminate the path, it exposes what you hid under the guise of wisdom. And then you will stand before the mirror of truth where you cannot pretend, cannot blame, cannot delay. In that very moment, something miraculous happens. You stop trying to be the perfect person and start becoming the truly called person. The answer from me will also change the rhythm of relationships in your life. Some people will no longer understand you, and that is not failure. Some will naturally drift out of your life, and that is not loss. You will find relationships once thought essential suddenly feel distant. Not because they changed, but because you have transcended a level of awareness they haven't reached. You don't need to drag them along. Just keep walking, because I am calling you to where others await the voice you carry. Don't mourn what drifted away, because the new light only dawns when the old darkness recedes. True connections won't dissolve. They will return, refined, deeper at a better time. I am clearing the table of your life to serve dishes worthy of the hunger your soul has endured for so long. Today's response not only releases what you waited for but also revives what you forgot. Old dreams buried under layers of doubt, I will breathe life into them. Potentials within you once dismissed by worldly voices will now be reborn like a spear to shatter the disbelief sown by darkness. Nothing in you is accidental. What seemed like weaknesses are the very tools I use to display my glory through you. And in the process of walking with this answer, you will begin to see all limitations not as obstacles but as opportunities for the transcendent to appear. I don't need you strong in the world's way. I need you surrendered to my power so that in that weakness, I build an indomitable warrior. If you dare to fully receive today's response, I will put words in your mouth you never dared utter yourself. Your speech will carry authority not from knowledge, but from the deepest place of a soul that has experienced me. You will become a voice crying in the wilderness, an alarm bell in a deluded city, a smoldering ember where souls seemed like dead ashes. I did not choose you to live safely, I chose you to shake things up. And the shaking begins within, from the smallest changes in how you listen, how you walk, how you trust. The answer you awaited never comes to coddle, but to unlock. It overturns old definitions, lifts the thick veils the world placed over the eyes of the soul. From today, if you truly receive this answer, nothing will ever be the same. Can you feel these changes? Every breath, every step on this journey will no longer be the same. Because when I decide to speak, it's not just to answer your prayer, but for you to awaken, to see more clearly the mission you are called to. You have prayed for a long time, but it is never too late for the answer to reach you. Don't think that because you grew tired of waiting, I would be late. I know every moment of waiting was a test for you. But it was precisely in those moments that you gradually prepared yourself for a powerful transformation. The response is not an easy gift but a challenge for you to reach a height you never dared to dream of. You will understand that when an answer is given, it doesn't just have a simple meaning. It's a wake-up call demanding comprehensive change. And change is never easy because it touches everything you've built over time. But it is in those cracks that light will shine through, bringing miracles you cannot imagine. Don't be afraid when things fall apart, because rebirth can only happen when the old has passed away. Everything has a process and you must walk through it with faith. You have prayed for a long time and now the answer has come, not to make you content but for you to rise stronger, more mature. When I answer you, it's not just a word of comfort but a call. That call is not simply for you to survive but to live an authentic life, a life you were prepared for beforehand, a life guided by me. You will not just live in the ordinary but will attain heights you never dared to dream of. Believe in the power of this answer, for it will lead you to new horizons where you will discover things never seen, feel things never experienced. When the answer comes, it is not the end point but a new beginning. That beginning will be full of challenges but also full of glory. Because it is a journey you will no longer walk alone. I will walk with you every step, support you in every decision and watch over you every moment. All difficulties become lighter when you realize I am always beside you. I will never let you fall into loneliness or get lost. Every answer from me is a sign of growth. No answer is random and nothing in this life is meaningless. Everything has a reason, and everything that happens is part of the grand plan I arranged for you from the beginning. You are not just a part of this life, you are a crucial part of the great work I am performing. Every step you take, small or large, contributes to the perfection of this world. When I respond to your prayer, I am bringing you into a part of my grand plan, where you will be a bright torch, a guide for others. The decisions you will make, the choices you will implement, will affect not only your life but also those around you. Therefore, do not disregard the responses I have sent you. Because they are not just simple comfort but the bestowing of great responsibility. You will no longer be someone living only for yourself but will become someone living for a higher purpose. Every challenge you face will no longer be terrifying but an opportunity to prove your strength and faith. Trust that when I answer, you will not face the storms alone, but I will always be beside you, guiding you through every hardship. And when you overcome the trial, you will realize what you received was not just deliverance but a powerful inner strength you never knew you possessed. My answer today is a turning point, a sign for a new journey. Walk forward boldly. Receive the answer not just with faith but with great hope. Do not fear, do not doubt, for what I have promised will always be true. When I say the answer will come, and when it comes, it will change everything you know about yourself in this world. My answer is not just a reward but a gift of life. You will see that everything you have gone through, everything you have waited for, will lead you to a higher place where you will realize the true value of this life. You don't need to understand everything to walk forward. You just need the courage to step out when I call. Don't let hesitation hold you back in familiar territory, where you feel safe but your soul withers daily. I did not come for you merely to survive, but for you to live abundantly. To live with the purpose and power sown into you from the beginning. The answer you are receiving isn't contained in a single piece of advice or a solitary sign, but is a continuous chain. Events will unfold in the coming time. You will see doors gradually open, and each opening is an opportunity to understand more about what I am doing within you. Don't just look for a simple miracle. Because sometimes the miracle isn't the reversal of external circumstances, but the transformation within. You will see that faith is not a fleeting emotion upon hearing good news, but a continuous action, a commitment even when things remain unclear. I don't want you just to receive the answer as an outsider, become a part of the story itself. When you walk with me, the smallest things in daily life become sanctified. Every glance, every word, every decision, all will be tinged with the light of guidance from above. I am working in the deepest regions of your soul, where past hurts were buried and dreams were sidelined. Now is the time I stir everything up, awakening seeds that seem dead. Because I never forgot the good things I placed in your heart. And I am breathing new life into them. You will gradually feel the change in your heartbeat, an unusual courage, a deep longing transcending all reason. That very thing will propel you forward. Though you don't know what awaits you, you don't need to know everything. I never asked you to know it all, only to listen, be sensitive, and not harden your heart. Strong people aren't those who never fear, but those who lean on me when they tremble. You too, when confused, call me. When unsure, remember my wisdom is greater than all your understanding. I will let you know when to stop, when to step forward, when to be silent, and when to speak. And even if you make mistakes on the journey of answering my call, I will use those very mistakes to teach you deeper lessons about love, mercy, and patience. I don't expect you to be perfect. I expect you to be real. You don't need to wear a mask of faith you don't feel yourself. I see the fear in your heart and still, I do not leave you. That is my response. Not excluding you for weakness but embracing you to turn that very weakness into strength. I ignited a fire within you, not to then abandon it to die out. That fire will grow, and even if sometimes it's just a smoldering ember, I will still breathe life into it, keeping it always burning. And when the time comes, that fire will become a guiding light not only for you but for those lost around you. I will bring you to places you never thought you could reach. Not because you are skilled enough but because I am powerful enough to complete what I began. My response is not the end but the signal for you to awaken, to know that the weary days in darkness are shifting. Dawn is coming, and that dawn brings new life, new meaning, and a new path you will see more clearly day by day. I do not abandon you midway. I am not half-hearted, and I do not promise anything I cannot fulfill. Therefore, prepare your heart like good soil, ready to receive the seed, and walk like one who has received what they waited for. Because I have heard, I have answered, and I am acting. What is coming will surpass your expectations if you remain faithful and do not give up halfway. Because the greatest thing I am doing is not in what you can touch, but in the person you are becoming. And I will not stop until you become complete in my plan. I am preparing to take you through a transition whose depth human eyes cannot measure and your mind cannot fully comprehend. Right now, in the silence, I am rearranging everything around you, relationships, opportunities, even the failures you thought were final. But no, in my plan nothing is wasted. People leaving are not losses but making space for something more suitable. Doors closing are not rejection but protection. You are used to living within the limits of emotion, judging everything by appearance and finite time. But now, I want you to step into heaven's rhythm, where every movement is guided by an invisible hand that never errs. When I say I will answer you, it doesn't just mean I do something to soothe you and then withdraw. No. When I answer, I step into your entire story and I rewrite the chapters you thought were stained by the past. You think some things in your life are beyond saving, but I am not limited by your experiences. I am the one who writes endings no one expects. Look back and see how many times you escaped the blade of failure. How many times you thought you'd fallen but still stood up. That wasn't coincidence. It was proof my hand was there long ago, you just hadn't realized it. Now, as I step into the light and reveal what I am doing, don't be surprised if you find yourself profoundly changed. Your mind will open to new dimensions. Your spiritual sensitivity will sharpen, and things that once worried you will gradually lose their power over you. I don't come to repaint the old. I come to break limits and make something entirely new. And this new thing will not resemble any pattern you've known. Don't look for me in old frameworks, for I will come from directions you least expect. I will use the smallest things in daily life to awaken a new awareness in you, perhaps an unexpected conversation, a stranger's glance in a crowd, someone's clumsy words that suddenly stir your heart. As you step into the new land I prepared, there will be things to let go of. Not because I want you to lose, but because not everything can follow you into the new season. There are habits, thoughts, fears that have clung to you for years. But now they become heavy, hindering your steps. I will help you recognize what to keep and what to release. And as you learn to let go of what no longer serves a higher purpose, you will find yourself lighter, sharper, and liberated. What I give you doesn't arrive loudly or ostentatiously but often begins in silence. While the world chases speed and form, I sow seeds quietly into the earth, so that at the right time life that cannot be extinguished will bloom. Don't judge everything by the world's standards, because what seems delayed is often the most meticulous preparation from heaven. Just live each day with an open soul, a listening heart, and a ready spirit. I am constantly sending signals to you, through nature, through streams of thought, through inner feelings, and sometimes even through dreams. Your spirit is being activated, and a new flow of revelation is opening. Walk like one who has been called, live like one bearing a mission, and prepare like one about to step into something never experienced before. Because my response is not just for the present but a chain reaction altering the entire course of your life from here on out. I come not just to satisfy you for a moment, but to place you on a solid foundation where the storms of this life can no longer shake you. And from that foundation, I will build an eternal dwelling place for my very presence within your heart. That is the true goal of this response. Not just for you to be at peace, but for you to become a light bearer in the darkness, one who opens the way for others to know me. Are you ready? Because I have been ready for a long time. So when you see seemingly adverse things happen, don't rush to judge them with fear. Because some things I allow not to punish you, but to strip away layers no longer serving your soul's growth. Broken relationships, stalled plans, unmet expectations. These are not failures but my hand untangling knots, clearing the ground within you so new seeds can take root. If you look too closely you'll see chaos. But if you dare to look up, step back, and view things with open eyes, you'll perceive a quiet yet powerful restructuring taking place. I am reordering the values in your heart, bringing truly eternal things to the forefront and gradually eliminating things that seemed important but were actually eroding your soul bit by bit. On this journey you may feel alone. Because not everyone is called by me to walk with you on such a distinct path. My calling for you is unique, not a template for others. You will find yourself turning in directions others don't understand. There will be times you are misunderstood, doubted. But that's not a sign of being wrong. It's proof you are entering the realm of the extraordinary. What I will do through you doesn't depend on your displayed talents but on the level of surrender in your soul. A soul willing to listen, go against the current, wait, sacrifice, can carry things far beyond natural ability. I will begin teaching you new languages, not of the mouth but of the spirit. You will start recognizing signals in the sacred space, sensing the movements of my spirit without needing words. You will learn to be silent at the right time, speak at the right time, and live without being pulled by temporary emotions. In the stillness of faith, you will enter the land where the promise is no longer written words but living reality flowing through every moment. And I will give you a faith no longer swayed by circumstance, but rooted in me myself, not in what I do but in my very name, my nature, and my unchanging presence amidst all change. Then you will understand some miracles happen not through shockwaves or blinding light, but through small changes in the mind. Quiet but decisive choices, nods to a call no one else heard but you. In this season I will refine you like gold in fire, not to destroy but to purify. And you will shine, not with the light applauded by the world, but with the light of a soul cleansed, having walked through darkness, not collapsing under trial, choosing me even when I was silent. And that is when I give you greater power, not to control others but to heal, restore, open paths for lost souls to find their way back. You were not born just to live for yourself but to become proof to the world that there is one who still lives, still acts, still hears prayers. When you live true to that, everything I give will no longer make you dependent but will help you become free. Because you know I myself am the greatest reward, not any outcome. And in that freedom, you will walk lighter, more decisively, carrying a peace that cannot be taken away, a joy needing no conditions, a wisdom not from learning but from union with me. This is the time you not only receive the answer from me but become the very answer for a world awaiting light. Are you ready to live like that? Because I have destined you for an irreplaceable role. So don't rush after the world's noise. Don't let your heart be troubled by what others praise or criticize. I don't measure you by human standards, nor judge your growth by external achievements. I see the quiet movements in your soul, where you choose forgiveness over revenge, silence over argument, waiting over forcing things your way. It is in those moments you enter depths few dare to tread, the land of spiritual maturity, where transformation needs no fanfare, only a faithful heart. I am teaching you to listen not just with ears but with intuition honed by stillness and surrender. You will begin to discern truth amidst plausible words, my voice amidst countless surrounding sounds. You will no longer hastily chase every opportunity because you can distinguish the door I open from the trap disguised by desire. When you reach that refinement, you won't need much validation from others. Because I myself will witness within your heart that you are on the right path. What I place in your soul won't resemble worldly definitions of success but will be prophetic, guiding, opening eyes, breathing life into withered places. I will use your life story, even chapters once hidden in shame, as evidence of transformative power. You don't need to hide scars. They don't weaken you in my eyes. On the contrary, they prove you lived authentically, endured, stood firm. Wounds don't lessen your value. They signify you walked through the battlefield and survived. And that is why I chose you. In this season, I will revive parts of you thought dead. Creativity, passion, perseverance, pure joy, all will return but not in the old way. They will be restored by a new source, close connection with me independent of circumstance. You will work not out of fear of failure or to prove anything, but because your heart overflows with what I want to pour out. Then you won't need to try to impress, because your very presence will carry an atmosphere of power and peace. You will find the smallest things in the day, a conversation, a walk, a glance, become sacred because they are guided by the constant awareness that I am there. And then you will see doors no one could open swing open before you. Not because you earned it but because I promised and I keep my word. But more than the door opening, you yourself will become a door for me to pass through you and touch others. And you will no longer live within the confines of self but will begin to step into the vast space where you live not just for yourself but become part of my redemptive plan for other souls. I don't just want to give you the answer. I want you to become part of the answer to the world's pain. You won't understand it all now but keep walking because every step, every breath, every whisper from me is preparing you for the unseen. And at the right time, I will illuminate everything sown in silence. Are you willing to continue? Even when things are still unclear. Because I am still walking with you, never leaving for a second. Don't let moments of stillness make you doubt. Silence does not equal my absence. When you hear nothing, that is when I am working most diligently behind the curtain of your life. There are times I deliberately hide myself, not to confuse you but to refine your heart. Just as gold needs fire to become pure, your faith needs silence to learn stability. In seasons without words, you learn to trust my hand more than chasing my voice. And that is the beginning of true maturity. I don't want you living by feelings because feelings change daily. I want you living by the deep knowledge that I am unchanging and that everything I start in your life will never be left unfinished. As you persevere through silence, you will begin to hear things you couldn't before, the sighs of lost souls, the silent cries within your own heart. And above all, my whisper resonating within you like a ceaseless heartbeat. I will teach you to live in the world without depending on it, walk amidst the rush with inner calm, face fear without trembling. Because I am right in the midst of the storm and from there, I command peace. The time will come when you no longer see life through wounded eyes but through eyes that have been healed. You will no longer judge others by appearance or actions but by the pain they haven't voiced. You will stop craving understanding and start actively seeking to understand. You won't wait to be loved but choose to become love. Then you will no longer worry if you're on the right path, because your very steps will be filled with life, truth, and light. I will broaden your vision, not to see farther in distance but deeper in soul. You will begin to recognize the smallest things hold the greatest value. A right choice made silently, an unrecognized act of kindness, a sincere hug, a healing word, all are where I am present. And I won't just use the good parts of you, I will also use the cracks, the dark spots, the mistakes. Because from the very place you once fell, I will build a foundation for others to rise. You will see past wounds are no longer marks of failure but gateways to empathy. The loneliness you endured is no longer emptiness but a hallway leading others to me. Everything that once caused you pain will be redefined, not by time but by me, the one who turns ashes into beauty and transforms what seemed dead into new life. You will begin to live not to maintain your image in others' eyes, but to be faithful to your true image in my eyes. When you live authentically, you attract authentic people. When you live deeply, you connect with deep souls. And when you live from my source, you will never run dry. So don't wait for life to change for you to change. You are where the change begins. And I am right there, in every beat of your heart, preparing each step for a breakthrough human eyes haven't seen. But your soul is sensing it more clearly. Keep going because the next season is near and you will not only see the new thing, you will become it. And when you think all doors have closed, remember I am not limited by doors. I don't need the path you expected to bring you where you need to be. I create pathways right through what seem like walls. I open opportunities from the midst of disappointment, and I call your name in the land where all hope seemed lost. I don't operate on your schedule, because my timing isn't governed by clocks. I arrive at the right moment, not early, not late, but precisely when your heart is ready to receive what, if it came sooner, you wouldn't have understood its value. Every minute you waited was not meaningless. Every tear you silently shed was not forgotten. I count even your sighs. And each time you exhale in weariness, I draw closer in the silence. I work in the deep strata of your soul, places even you haven't explored. There are memories I am healing that you don't even know affect you daily. There are spiritual barriers I am dismantling layer by layer so you can be truly free, not just feel free temporarily. You will begin to realize that sometimes the best thing I can do for you is not grant what you're asking for, but withhold it so you find something higher, not just fitting for today but enduring for your future self. When you are no longer driven to prove anything to the world, when your heart no longer chases praise or fears criticism, that is when you truly step into the freedom I prepared. That freedom comes not from everything going smoothly, but from stability right amidst the mess. I will teach you to live with gratitude independent of circumstance. Teach you to sing even when the wind is against you, and teach you to walk by faith when vision is obscured. Because there are things you only see clearly when your eyes no longer depend on external light but have learned to see from within. You will realize maturity comes not from moments on peaks of glory, but from times you bowed in silence. From times you chose forgiveness when anger was justified. From times you chose silence over reaction. From times you stood up after falling with no one to lift you. That is when your soul grows, and I am there, watching every step, smiling when I see you no longer expect external things to change but begin allowing me to change you from within. When you become one with me, you are no longer chasing signs. You yourself become the sign for others. You will be placed in situations not for your convenience, but so the light in you challenges the darkness there. I will send you into environments your heart once feared, not for you to fall, but for the tide to turn because of my presence in you. What you once avoided, I will cause you to face with peace. People you once found impossible to love, I will use you to show the first love. And it is when you begin to do that, you will understand I don't just want to heal you so you feel better, but so that through you, that healing multiplies. I chose you not just because you can do something for me, but because I see something in you that needs restoration so it can then shine. When you live true to your created nature, you don't need to imitate anyone, strain yourself, or compete. Others may be called to their own journeys, but you are uniquely set apart by me for a distinct purpose. One where if you don't step in, no one can replace you. Be courageous, be steadfast, for this journey is not about completing a task but about returning to your true self, the being I saw before the world named you. And I am still waiting, not far away but very near, in every breath, every choice, every heartbeat you still think is ordinary. But in my eyes, each one is the lifeblood for the next miracle I will perform. And now, as you begin to sense something stirring silently in your soul, that is the moment I place my invisible hand on your shoulder. No external sign is sufficient to declare the change is coming. But deeper down, you feel an unspoken anticipation. As if the space around you holds its breath, as if everything is preparing for an indefinable arrival. That is precisely when I am rewriting your life story, not with noise but with sacred silence. When your mind stops arguing, stops asking why, and then your heart begins to open to a new level of awareness. The awareness of presence. You no longer need to understand everything to walk. You don't need to see the whole picture clearly to know you are being led. Because some journeys reveal light only one step at a time. And your task is not to demand the path, but to keep the flame of faith from dying. I placed in you a divine intuition, something unlearnable from books or experience, awakened only through companionship with me through dark nights. It was precisely through moments you felt lost that you were trained to recognize what is real. Precisely when all noise fell silent that my gentle voice resonated most clearly. And when you learn to live unattached to outcomes, clinging only to presence, that is when you enter the land where rest surpasses all understanding. I don't just want to calm the external storm, I want to give you the power to stand firm within the storm. Because true strength comes not from the absence of trials, but from my presence right in the midst of them. Every small thing I let you experience is to build within you a foundation uneroded by human words, by failure, by success, or by loneliness. From there, you no longer live led by emotion but by stability formed over time spent with me. And then the time will come when you look back and realize the greatest miracle wasn't the external event, but the silent transformation within your heart. You will realize the most precious thing wasn't the answered prayer as you hoped, but that you became someone who could hold faith even without an answer. That is true grace, true strength. I don't call you to be perfect, I call you to be real, real with yourself, real with me, real in your walk without needing a mask. And when you live authentically, you become light. Not light you generate, but light reflected from the one always present. That is when you become a refuge for the lost, a lamp in the night for those weary of searching. And then you will see all past pain was not the end but the prelude to something greater. Nothing that happened in your life was superfluous. No tear was wasted. No dry season was useless. Every one of those moments is being gathered by me to weave a tapestry whose full beauty you will only see at the end. And you will be amazed. You will know that every loss was not truly lost but a clearing of the way for something immeasurable by earthly standards. You will whisper in your heart, if not for those things, how would I have known you were so near? And precisely when you can say that with gratitude is when you have entered the land of those who no longer walk by sight but by faith. Faith tested, not easily shaken, not quick to forget the sacred things done. And I am still here, not leaving, not silent forever, just waiting for your heart to be still enough to hear, open enough to receive, and brave enough to step into the greater things I am preparing for you. And when you think you have reached the limit of your endurance, that is precisely when I begin to pull back the curtain, showing you the rest of the journey I deliberately hid before. Because if I had shown you everything from the start, you would have faltered. If you knew every challenge awaiting, you wouldn't have had the courage to continue. But it was in that obscurity you learned trust. In that lack of clarity, you trained your inner eyes to see beyond circumstance. I don't lead you with thunderclaps. I use gentle nudges, unseen shifts, changes so seemingly small they shift your entire future. You don't need to impress the world to be chosen by me. Because I chose you before you were aware of yourself. When everyone looked at you and saw something insignificant, I saw a treasure. When you yourself doubted your worth, I still saw an unfinished work full of potential. Every day you live, no matter how ordinary it feels, is part of the process ordained by me. I don't measure you by achievements. I look at silent obedience. I don't wait for you to do something great to bestow grace. I am bestowing grace amidst the smallest things you do that no one knows about. The quiet choices to remain loyal, the refusals to take the easy way, the times you turned from wrong though no one saw, those are what I value. Don't think that only when conditions are good can you step into the plan I have for you. It is precisely in limitations that I reveal power. Precisely where you feel most inadequate that I pour out blessings. And I call you not just to overcome difficulty, but for you to become one who brings hope where others have given up. There will be times I bring you to people, and you won't understand why you met them. But then you will realize I brought you there not because you needed them, but because they needed the light I placed in you. There will be times I open doors illogical to your past, disproportionate to your abilities, unrelated to what you prayed for. But I don't follow formulas, I follow my all-knowing will. And in that surprise you will learn a lesson. Nothing is too small for me to use. No one is too weak for me to lift up. Your presence in this world is not accidental, not meant to pass through and vanish, but to leave an eternal trace. I want you to know that though time passes, though external circumstances change, the calling I placed in your soul remains intact. Not outdated, not expired, just waiting for the moment to ignite. And what you need to do is not chase praise or fear criticism, but keep that flame from being smothered by indifference or doubt. Others may not understand you. They might call you too dreamy, too different. But you are not defined by their understanding or lack thereof. You are defined by the one who breathed life into you. You are living proof that I am still acting, that amidst this chaotic world, a sacred order is still unfolding. And when you persist in faithfulness though no one applauds, when you continue loving though misunderstood, when you choose forgiveness though uncompelled, that is when you become more like me bit by bit. Not through perfection but through willingness for me to transform. Not through excellence but through surrender. And then you will find that the miracle is not that you change the world, but that the world no longer has power to change your essence. Because within you, I have established an unshakable kingdom, a place no fear can invade, no darkness can obscure, and no trial can defeat. And that place is the starting point of a journey without retreat, without doubt, without disappointment. Because you have chosen to walk with me, and I never abandon what my own hands began. And when you think you are just existing, meaninglessly getting through each day, I am actually using every one of those moments to prepare for something beyond your imagination. Sometimes I work silently in the dark, where no one sees, where even you are unaware. What I am building in you is not for short-term goals but to birth a core that cannot be broken by circumstance. You are being refined not to become the best in the world's eyes, but the most steadfast in mine. And that is why I let you walk stretches no one accompanies you on, so your soul learns to sing its own song even without background music. I teach you patience not through lectures but through silence. I teach you to recognize my voice not through noise, but through the faintest stirrings in your spirit when you begin to sense something shifting within. You used to think I would appear in something grand, a dramatic sign, a spectacularly open door. But instead I choose to be present in things so ordinary, to see if you are still sensitive. Because if you only look for me when things are clear, you will miss the times I come in unexpected guises. And thus, I teach your spiritual eyes to look at reality with a new depth where nothing is coincidental, nothing meaningless. Perhaps you are living through a stretch of days where nothing changes. But I am changing you amidst those things. Perhaps others don't see your growth, but I see every unapplauded step forward. Every time you choose right when no one notices. Those things, those silent moments, are the solid foundation I am building so that when you enter the time I ordain, you won't be swept away by surprise, nor swayed by the world's spotlight. You will walk like one prepared long ago, like someone needing no persuasion to believe, no proof to be loyal, no immediate results to hold hope. And then I will bring you to places you never dreamed of. But your soul will recognize them because it was prepared long ago. Places where only souls refined in stillness have the strength to stand firm. And when you are in the flow of my will, you will no longer have to strain to hold everything together because I myself will hold you. You won't need to understand everything to walk, because faith in me will be the light for your every step. Don't be surprised when I begin taking away things you thought necessary. Don't fear when I close doors you prayed would open. Because I don't take away to cause loss. I close them so you aren't distracted from something greater. I remove the good to make room for the miraculous. And if you are willing to let me rearrange your life, you will see the pieces that seemed scattered for so long were actually leading to a design only I understood. And then you will look back and know it all had a reason. Every tear, every dark night, every time you thought you'd collapse, all were materials I used to build a version of you full of power and humility, strong yet gentle, able to withstand pressure without losing your essence. You aren't just going through your own journey, you are leaving footprints for those who come after. I call you to be a trailblazer, not so everything is easy but so you become proof that when someone surrenders completely nothing is impossible. And as you continue to walk, remember you do not carry your burden alone. Everything I do in your life carries a sacred purpose beyond all limits, time, and understanding. And as long as you breathe, that journey continues. Not delayed, not missed, just being perfectly executed in the plan I have uniquely for you. You used to think growth came from victories and successes, but I teach you through loss and silence. When you are left behind, when your words fall on deaf ears, when your presence seems valueless in a noisy world, that is precisely when I deepen the roots of faith within you. While the world chases glitter, I cause you to pause, turn inward, learn to listen to the breath of your own soul. Not to slow you down, but so you walk unswayed by worldly applause. I don't need you to be like the masses. I need you to become like the image I envisioned for you before you were even born. And because that is so immense, so unique, I cannot let you grow simply or commonly. I let you pass through phases no one understands. So you learn to stand firm even without agreement. I let you live with a sense of being lost so that when I call you, You can distinguish that call amidst 1,000 other invitations. And when you learn to be still before the waves within your heart, you will begin to hear my voice resonate without noise. Only those who have walked through the valley of loneliness understand the value of a whisper from heaven. And I want you to become one who carries that sound to others, not with forceful words but with a quiet, powerful presence. I place in you the ability to heal, not by hand but by an understanding gaze, by unhurried patience, by sitting beside someone without needing words, yet making them feel supported. These things come not from study but because you once sat alone in the long night and did not let go. That is the kind of strength only born from brokenness that I touched and did not let remain shattered forever. I don't break you to destroy you, I break you to make you pliable. And from that pliability, I will shape you into a new form, no longer the old fearful person, but a soul forged by truth, fire, tears, and a faith no longer based on emotion. I want you to understand that the great rising is not when you do something grand, but when you overcome the small thing that should have defeated you. It's when you choose forgiveness when you have reason to hate. Choose to continue when all reason says stop. Choose to keep your heart pure when the world around you is blurred by gain and comparison. Then you are living in the separation I set apart for you, not out of pride, but so you remember you are an instrument I used to touch places where my voice has never resounded. You will step into lands no one wants to enter, speak truths no one wants to hear, love people no one wants near. That is the sign you have begun to carry my nature. Do not seek comfort, my child. For comfort does not create an eternal mark. I call you onto a journey not comfortable but full of life, true life. And if you are still wondering why things haven't changed yet, let me tell you this, because you are the first thing I am changing. And when that process is complete, you will realize it wasn't you waiting for me, but me waiting for you to be steady enough to receive what I had prepared for you all along. Amen.